So Disney owning Kingdom Hearts has likely been the reason we've seen such limited collaborations with the series in the past. However, with the overwhelming success of Sora being in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch, maybe this has kind of convinced Disney that they can really get something out of having Kingdom Hearts collaborate with other franchises. So that's what I wanted to take today to talk about a bunch of different series that I would love to see Kingdom Hearts collaborate with. But for this video in particular, I'm talking about, say, worlds in Kingdom Hearts. This would make a good world in Kingdom Hearts, not necessarily saying Kingdom Hearts would go good in this one. I don't want to see Sora meeting Cloud in 7 Remake or something. It's also going to mainly focus on games that aren't owned by Square, because it would feel like a really true collaboration when it's not just something by Square that also makes Kingdom Hearts. But if you want more videos like this one, be sure to hit the like button, comment what your favorite part was and an idea of your own, and subscribe if you want more JRPG content. But without further ado, let's get into my 5 Kingdom Hearts Phase 2 ideas I'd love to see. Tales of is a really popular JRPG franchise that consistently puts out bangers. Their newest game that came out in 2021, I even included in my best JRPGs of 2021 video, that being Tales of Arise. The structure of its story and chemistry of the characters I feel would weave together to make a really nice blend with Kingdom Hearts. Sora and Donald and Goofy are already in similar boats with having to integrate themselves into these new worlds too. All the different types of team up moves with the other party members would not only be beautiful enough to make a grown man cry, but dang it, it'd make the world feel so unique amongst all the other worlds in the series. And Tales of has already done a similar concept of characters going to another world and meeting other characters from different games in its series. So if we were to get a Tales of world in Kingdom Hearts, I think basing it on Arise would be perfect, as it introduced tons of new people to the series. It's on the current generation of platforms, so many people will be inspired to play the game after seeing them in Kingdom Hearts. The story's overwhelming topic of good versus evil, bad versus good, and the blur between them is perfect for our Kingdom Hearts cast to be able to relate with. Sora and the gang helping out their Arise cast free a town from Rin and Rule would be perfect. It'd do a great job of teaching Sora a lesson on people and how and why they do the things they do, and add depth to his character. Just talking about this makes me feel the need to see this. Now, I'm 100% serious when I say this. I'd love to see Kingdom Hearts and Yakuza collaborate. I know to anyone who hasn't played it, it might find it a bit harder for it to be feasible, but they're both Japanese role-playing games that started out on the PS2, and their main characters are both freaking amazing people. Yakuza, in a very, very general sense, is about a man trying to be the best version of himself as possible so he can keep those he cares for safe. And over the years, he learns just how hard that can be, and how sometimes you'll meet those doing the same thing, yet they can still stand in opposition to you. And this is a heavy vibe I can feel Kingdom Hearts going for in the future with Phase 2. In no way can I see Yozora as an antagonist when he's properly introduced later on, yet in their meeting they stand against each other. So being able to see Sora meet with Kiryu and experiencing him fight against people that if things were different, they could have been great friends, would just be such a big lesson for Sora that I feel would not only add to his character, but would integrate well with outside of this one world story, but can be called back for the main original plot of the game too. Yakuza is the kind of RPG that centers around different skill trees so people can choose how they play essentially, and finding a way to integrate that into the gameplay of this world would be really cool, but not cooler than seeing Sora do the classic over-the-top heat actions. Yakuza has become known for this, whether it's hitting a home run of enemies with his Keyblade or teaming up with Kiryu as he dumps salt in guys' eyes and Sora follows up by blasting him away with magic. And if you can't tell by this point, I am actually serious and think this would be great. Now, another Eden is a game I admit I'm newer with. I got into the game about 2 months ago before the Chrono Cross collab came out, but I feel with the method of storytelling this game would work so well with Kingdom Hearts. But I already feel with the method of storytelling this game goes for, it would work so well with Kingdom Hearts, likely because of Masato Kato's work on this game, so his Square Enix style of storytelling makes sense. But it's essentially, in a very general way of putting it, a story about a young man named Aldo who's been lost in time trying to find and bring his sister back home. Along the way, in different times and places, he's met many people who've helped him towards his goal, gotten to know the people and places of these different eras and the situations going on during them. and it's taught him so much more than he would ever have learned back home as a guard for his village. And while he's still green, I feel both him and Sora could learn a lot from each other. The combat in Another Eden is pretty simple, but with all the different types of characters and weapons in the game, I feel an action game style of this would translate super well and honestly be a style of battle we haven't really seen in Kingdom Hearts before. So seeing Aldo, Rika, Cyrus, and Amy fight alongside Sora throughout different times in that world would be so cool, and I need this to happen badly. With them now meeting in Smash Ultimate, being able to see Sora and Shulk meet each other would be so cool, man. Xenoblade 1 is one of my favorite games of all time, so while I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 would be awesome too, there may even be a way to incorporate them both, and during the world you could switch between them. If I had to choose one though, I'd still choose Xenoblade 1, but it'd still be such a crazy dynamic to see both these different casts interact with Sora. Through DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, we did get to see this in that game, which was great, but having them learn more about each other's worlds through Sora as someone who can go between them, that would be so interesting to see. In the gameplay, having Shulk's visions affect how Sora should act in battle, just like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, would be a cool dynamic to see too, and seeing reaction commands between Sora and Shulk with them wielding some of gaming's most powerful swords would be so great to see. There's many points in the story they could join in at, but them experiencing the truth behind the relationship of the Bionis and the Mechonis would be something I'd go crazy to see. Maybe it's my bias of loving this game dearly, but seeing them together, outside of Smash would make me so happy, dude. Anyone who knows me probably saw this coming, but Persona X Kingdom Hearts would be an insane collaboration. Just imagining Sora meet someone like Yosuke or Yukiko and them kind of think he's weird since, in perspective, they're a lot more normal than Sora is since they go to school, study, and etc. like normal teenagers when Sora doesn't. But I think it's a bit endearing to see how they kind of understand him still since he's constantly having to save the world and they don't exactly have normal lives with them jumping into the TV and whatnot, wielding psychic powers housed by physical manifestations of their spirits. Or Sora meeting the Persona 5 cast would be interesting too, with Sora not being exactly fond of the Phantom Thieves since they're not only thieves, but they also steal hearts, which is basically all Sora needs to hear before they take out his Keyblade. But he'll eventually see that they're good people despite what he's heard from the people around the world talking about them. It teach him a good lesson that stealing hearts isn't exactly the wrong route, but it's just a bit more complicated than he originally thought. Now that we have an action-oriented RPG Persona game with strikers, I think it's more than feasible to understand how incorporating them as Sora's party members would work flawlessly. Reaction commands between Sora and Joker, or Sora and Narukami with barrages of magic and the summoning of personas with massive attacks just sounds so freaking powerful. I need this in my life like yesterday. So those are just some worlds I'd love to see in Kingdom Hearts someday, in the sense of a collaboration. Not necessarily this is what will happen or, it shouldn't happen or nothing like that. It's just something I think would be cool to see, Let me know in the comments which non-Square RPGs you would love to see Kingdom Hearts collaborate with in the future. And again, if you like this video, I'd love to be able to do another one of this kind, just some other RPG series that could be in Kingdom Hearts, or also you can hit the like button if you want to see some more Square worlds you'd like to see in Kingdom Hearts. I think both of those videos would be cool. Comment what you think you prefer to see first, because I'll likely do them both, but I want to know what you guys want to see first. But subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is KingdomAce, and remember everyone to play some games, have some fun, and enjoy your day today.